Morning, hello, welcome to This Date in History, aka TDH. This show is about what happened throughout, or to date throughout the annals of recorded history. Join us as we delve into yesteryear, not only for interesting and important happenings, but to possibly even answer questions you don't know you have. The sources of this information come from the smart device application Today in History, What Happened Today in History, Historical Calendar, and this website on thisday.com. Anyway, for links to these sources, anything we collect throughout the show, those will be put in after the live stream. But we also do have everything, Omni Coalition, our link tree is down there and all that stuff in the underbar of the description below. Anyway, I am A.O. Xander, and you, of course, I knocked off my glasses. That was weird. Fumble. You, of course, are you viewer. Today is Saturn's Day, aka Saturday, October 7th, 2023. So let's get into the history today, shall we? We're going to have actually like a pretty short show today. We only have 16 pages as opposed to the 35 we had like last week. Anyway, but we have some pretty significant events here. So like it's quality, not quantity. 3761 BC. So that's like almost 6,000 years ago. The epoch origin of the modern Hebrew calendar, proleptic Julian calendar. And I believe this is what creationists believe as the start of the universe, and all this stuff. Like it's only like what, like 50,000 years or like 6,000 years old. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, moving on up, pretty significant time jump from 3761 BC to 1492 AD. Christopher Columbus missed Florida when he changed course. So, the loon, I wish he was part of the show today, but he's just chilling downstairs. He's home, but, he's just going to be chilling. He works a lot, so, yeah, he needs some time to just chill. Anyway, but no, like he had thought, as well as like a lot of other people had thought, that Christopher Columbus had actually made it to Florida, but no, he never did, but he almost did. Anyway, 1520, we have the first public burning of books in the Netherlands in Louvain. That's not something to be proud of. 1542, explorer Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo, on a voyage for Spain, was the first European to discover Catalina Island off the coast of California. I have been there. And wow, that was like all the way back in 1542. Wow. So, yeah. And a little fun fact about Catalina, there are wild boars out there because at one point it was used by wealthy people as a hunting area. Like wild game and all that stuff. And they had actually imported wild boars over there. And they're still there. So, yeah. We have 1571, Battle of Lepanto, Holy League of Southern European nations, formed by Pope Pius V to destroy an Ottoman fleet in a significant loss off western Greece. 1714, people riot due to a beer tax in Alkmaar, Netherlands. Yeah, don't tax my beer. I enjoy my liquid bread. It gets me all swoozy. I don't know. Swoozy, isn't that somebody's name? I don't know. Anyway, 1737, a cyclone caused 40-foot waves that are believed to have killed 300,000 people in Calcutta, India. Wow. Once again, overdense population, bad construction techniques, but they didn't really know back then and did not have the technology. So, yeah. Anyway, we got 1763. George III of Great Britain issued proclamation of 1763, closing lands in North America, north and west of Alleghenies to white settlement. Okay, so like, prohibiting white people from continuing to spread, like the virus that we are. White people are really everywhere, but yeah. I don't know. I don't know what the hell I'm saying. Anyway, 1765, Stamp Act Congress, first Congress of the American colonies, convened in New York to devise a unified protest against new British taxation. Yeah, no, I don't know what I was saying about like the white people, like, because I'm one of them, like, I don't know, my brain is weird. I'm really hungry, so I'm not all here. Maybe I need a Snickers, I don't know. 1806, carbon paper patented by in London by inventor Ralph Wedgwood. All right, carbon paper. And I see here, I missed one. 1780, British defeated by American militia near Kings Mountain, South Carolina. So that has to be during the Revolution. It's still going on. 1816, we have the first double-decked steamboat, the Washington, arrived in New Orleans. All right. 1825, Miramichi fire, I think. Forest fire disaster in New Brunswick destroyed Douglastown and Newcastle, killing between 200 to 500 people. Dang. 1 year later, we got the Granite Railway. The first chartered railway in the U.S. began operations. And 2 years later, 1828, the Greek city of Patras was liberated by the French Expeditionary Force in Peloponnese under General Mason. Huh. I guess that's the Peloponnese War. I'm not sure. 1828. I don't know much about warfare in that intermediary period. 1830, the Black Line began. A levy of colonists in Tasmania, Australia, attempted to round up Aborigines onto the Tasmanian Peninsula. Oh my God! So Australia is trying to pull in Australia. They're sending all of what they would consider undesirables, because all the British put their prisoners over there, so to the British, the prisoners were undesirable. So, like, in that nature. So, I don't know. Like, I just find that kind of ironic how Australia was doing in Australia, just putting all the Aboriginals on Tasmania. Like, at least it's better than just killing them all and stuff. But, they did a lot of bad things to the Aboriginals. Like, it wasn't until, 50 years ago, there was something big. I don't remember. Something happened, they allowed them to participate in elections or something like that. Anyway, 1856, Cyrus Chambers Jr. patented the folding machine that folds book and newspapers. Ooh, that's pretty cool. 1868, Cornell University in Ithaca, New York opened. And in 1870, Leon Gambetta fled Paris in a balloon. Oh. Moving on up to 1871, a 16-hour fire injured 30 of Chicago's 185 firefighters. Chicago. 1879, Germany and Austria and Hungary signed the Twofold Covenant. Let's do a surface level scratch on that entire article right there to see if it tells us any more about that. Oh, here we go. Austro-German alliance, also called the Dual Alliance, was a pact between Austria-Hungary and the German Empire in which the two powers promised each other support in the case of an attack by Russia, and neutrality in case of aggression by any other power. Okay, so specifically, hey, we gotta defend ourselves against Russia. So, yep. Mutual Defense Pact. Specific focus. 1882, the first World Series, Game 2. Chicago White Stockings of the National League defeated the Cincinnati Red Stockings of the AA 2-0 at Bank Street Grounds in Cincinnati. AA Baseball. What was AA Baseball League? The Double A? Officially Class AA. Oh, Minor League Baseball? Okay. I guess that's what they became. Interesting. What else do we got here? 1886, Spain abolished slavery in Cuba. All right. In 1900, the term orienteering was first used for an event. And I'm about to sneeze, so... Sorry about that. Had a sneeze attack. Might have another one here soon. So the term orienteering was first used for an event. Orienteering. Let's see here. Is a sport of navigation using a highly detailed map. Whether you're an experienced hiker, competitive runner, or just a family or group out for an activity at a park, this sport helps you improve your navigation each time. Interesting. All right. Well, I didn't even realize I had this question, as I said. So I'm going to add this in the underbar of the Wikipedia, not Wiki, the underbar of the description section, post-show, of course, as I said at the top of the show. Moving on up to 1904, New York Highlanders beat Boston Americans 3-2 at Hilltop Park, New York City, for pitcher Jack Chesborough's Major League Baseball record 41st win of the season, 41-12. That's a pretty big score margin there, but we're going to see one vastly larger, and I'm about to get sneezed again, so... All right. I think the worst is over. I hope. 1908 Crete revolts against Turkey and allies with Greece. Huh. Okay. 1908 as well, Serbia and Montenegro signed an anti-Austria-Hungarian pact. Ah. Okay. So that sounds like that, kind of like the same vein of thinking as that one against the Russians earlier. We also have 1915, English nurse Edith Cavell was sentenced to death along with 39 others by German court-martial for running underground network to free Allied soldiers. Edith Cavell, mad respect for you, miss. Massive respect for that lady. 1916, Georgia Tech, coached by John Heisman, defeated Cumberland 222-0. This is the most lopsided score in the history of U.S. college football. They named a trophy after him. They should have just named the entire sport after him, the Heisman. So that way the whole football thing wouldn't get confused anymore. Just rename football Heisman. He deserves it. We also have 1916. The German submarine U-53 arrived off Newport, Rhode Island, and sunk 9 British merchant ships in international waters. During the First World War, unrestricted submarine warfare. Very much like what we dealt in the second one, but not as bad. So, the Atlantic War, the longest, the Battle of the Atlantic, the longest battle, I believe, in the history of the world. You know what? Let me look that up, because it lasted the entirety of the war. So, longest battle ever. Oh, the Battle of Verdun. Well, that's land engagement. Okay. Well, yeah, 9 months, 3 weeks, and 6 days. Well, the Battle of the Atlantic is far longer. But I don't know. It really depends on what you would consider a battle. Anyway, 1916, got that one. 1919, first London to Amsterdam airline service, British Aerial Transport and KLM. All right. We also have KLM, Royal Dutch Airlines, was established as the oldest existing airline. Okay, so this should have come first. I don't know why our source is consistently not chronologically correct with the articles. Anyway, 1922, first radio link, WNJ Newark, New Jersey, and WGY in Senate, Tennessee, link for the World Series. All right. While that was happening, Major League Baseball Commissioner Kennesaw Mountain Landis insisted Game 4 World Series be played despite heavy rain. Yeah, go play in the rain. You slip, you fall, whoopsie, you wear cleats for a reason. 1 year later, 1923, Yankees' Everett Scott ran his consecutive game streak to 1,138. I'm about to sneeze again. Ay. Whatever is in my head is trying to come out of my face. That sounds weird. What else do we got here? 1926, actress Theo Mann Master resigned from stage. Well, what a great name. Actress, so, female. Theo Mann Master. The Man Master. The Master of Man. There you go. 1926 as well, Italian Great Fascist Council formed. Obviously Benito Mussolini right there. 1 year later, Yank Herb Pennock retired, first 22 Pirates in World Series game. Alright. 2 years later, 1929, Ramsay MacDonald was the first British Prime Minister to address U.S. Congress. Ooh, that's interesting. Took that long, huh? 1931, first infrared photograph, Rochester, New York. Ooh, I gotta check this out. Let's see here. First infrared photograph, Rochester, New York. Images. Huh, is this it? I guess so. Black and white infrared. That's interesting. That's going to be hard to decipher. 1935, Himmler, Hess, and Heydrich inspected the concentration camp at Dachau. Yeah. 3 years later, 1938, Germany required all Jewish passports be stamped with the letter J. Yeah. 1940, World War II, the McCollum Memo proposed bringing the U.S. into the war in Europe by provoking the Japanese to attack the United States. Yep. Like, yeah, that's exactly what we did. You know, we strangled them and forced them to take action. Like, I really don't think that they knew exactly that they're going to attack Pearl Harbor, but I believe that they lined up the ships, because never before and never since in the history of ever have they lined ships up like that, military ships like that, in a potential for a conflict. Like, that is, like, obviously lining them up like bowling pins, being like, oh, hey, attack here, give us a reason, you know? And they gave us a reason on December 7th, 1941, tell you that. 1942, one salvo Kajowsko rocket destroyed Nazi battalion in Stalingrad. Yeah. Oh, missiles. 1942 as well, last camouflaged German Raider Comet left Flushing, Netherlands. What does that mean? Like, is that an aircraft? Or let me look this up here really quick. Oh, okay, a boat. Alright. We also have the US and UK government announced establishment of the United Nations. Alright. 2 years later, 1944, and that's pretty big, actually. Where is that? Why is that not highlighted? That's pretty significant right there. 1944, Field Marshal Erwin Rommel was ordered to return to Berlin. And this was 44. When did he remove himself? Okay. Ooh, 7 days. Yep, he's gonna commit self-delete because he took part in an attempt at Hitler's life. So, yeah. What else do we have here? 1944 as well. Riots in Amersfoort, Utrecht, and Struggle. Well, Struggle. I guess, you know, that's a very appropriate name. 1944 as well. Uprising in Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration camp. Jews burnt down the crematoriums. Yep. 1949, German Democratic Republic was formed from Russian occupation zone. National Day. Wilhelm Pieck became the first president. Otto Greifswald the first premier. All right. 1 year later, 1950, U.S. forces invade North Korea by crossing the 38th parallel. Ah. Yeah, good old Korean War. Started a little bit ago, actually, in 1950, calendar date-wise. 1952, first bandstand broadcast in Philadelphia on WFIL-TV. Dick Clark joins in 1955 as a substitute host. Cool. 365 days later, 1953, Bill Veeck told St. Louis Brown stockholders he faces bankruptcy unless they drop their suit to block his move to Baltimore. They complied. Yeah, you know, they were bleeding this poor dude out. Like, you know, it's just a game. It's a sports game. Like, you know, money and business is just so tied up into every little thing that it is literally a stranglehold on society and progress. Like, look into, like, the truth about recycling. Unless it, you know, makes a profit, they don't recycle it. They just bury it with the rest of the trash. Like, they don't actually do that. Hospitals are a business. Unless they can make money off of a patient, they don't care about your health. You know, they're just there to, you know, like, you know, yeah, they make you better, but, like, you know, for money. Like, it's, there's better things to do. Like, and I know I sound like a communist. No, I am not a communist. Like, you know, capitalism is arguably better, but it has its faults, you know, for various same reasons. You know, both capitalism and communism, you know, fall prey to greed very easily, but everything else does too, and that's a human problem, not a. Our creation is only as good as the creator, you know, until AI comes around and, you know, expedites that. Anyway, let's move on up here. 1954, Hassan el-Hadabi, leader of the Muslim Brothership, arrested in Egypt. Yikes. We also have Pope Pius XII published encyclical Ad Sinarum Genitum. Alright, well, let's take a look at what that is about. I always enjoy looking up encyclicals, because they're basically just holy memos to the Chinese people on the super nationality of the church. Alright, well, here's the wiki for it under our description section. 1955, the aircraft carrier USS Saratoga was launched at Brooklyn. Alright. In 1955 as well, the Beat poet Allen Ginsberg read his poem Howl for the first time at a poetry reading in San Fran. Yeah. And apparently, like, that's some kind of obscene one. I'm not entirely sure. That he got into some hot water revolving around Howl. 1958, U.S. manned spaceflight project renamed Project Mercury. 1959, Far Side of the Moon, seen for the first time, courtesy of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics Luna 3 space probe. Once again, kicking our butt up and down the line in the space race. But we landed on the moon, and everything else was moot somehow, magically. Yeah, okay. 1959, or 1961, Charles Stross and Lee Adams musical Bye Bye Birdie, starring Dick Van Dyke, Cheetah Rivera, and Dick Gaudier. Two dicks and a cheetah, okay? Oh, God, that sounds awful. Closed at Martin Beck Theater, New York City, after 607 performances and 4 Tony Awards. All right. This one here, yeah. Sorry, I don't have, like, crossed eyes. I can't, like, double focus on these two. I try. We also got here in 1963, Hurricane Flora hit Haiti and Dominican Republic, killing 7,190 people. That sucks. While that was going on, JFK signed ratification for nuclear test ban treaty. Yep. Until the Norks started testing their own nukes. 1965, 50-mile-per-hour gust helped Robert Madera ace 447-yard 10th hole at Miracle Hills, Omaha, Nebraska, to score world's longest straight hole-in-one. That is very lucky. I have a DM. No. 1965, Charles Linster did 6,006 consecutive push-ups. That is impressive. I cannot do anywhere near that. 1966, Rolling Stones recorded 4 songs for their first live LP, Got Live If You Want It, a concert at Colston Hall in Bristol. All right. 365 days later, the Beatles this time turned down a $1 million offer by Sid Burstein for a return performance at Shea Stadium in New York City. $1 million. And why do you turn that down, guys? Come on. 1968, Motion Picture Association of America adopted a film rating system. All right, so like, G, PG, PG-13, R, and then eventually NC-17 was added later on. 1968, rioting continued in Derry, Northern Ireland, after Royal Ulster Constabulary put down Civil Rights March 2 days prior. The Troubles. 1971, here we go. Northern Ireland Prime Minister Brian Faulkner met with British Prime Minister Edward Heath. They agreed to send an additional 1,500 British Army troops into Northern Ireland. Yeah, put down the uprising. The Irish, they want to be free, and the British, they want to colonize. It's not just the blacks, browns, and Asians that the British colonize. They colonize white people first. Other white people, like, the Scots, the Irish, which a lot of Irish, suffered a great deal alongside a lot of blacks, but nobody ever notices that, or talks about it at least. So, we're all in this world together. We all suffer, okay? Let's stop looking at what's our differences and start looking at what we have in the same and work together for a better future. That's the only way. We can't do anything destructive. So, anyway, 1972, first New York Islanders NHL game at Nassau Coliseum. Calgary Flames win 3-2. 365 more days later, 1973, Iraq nationalized Exxon and Mobil shares in Basra Petroleum Company, representing 23.75% equity in the company. I don't know what that is, but it sounds bad because, these... look it up, Tales of an Economic Hitman, and prepare to be shocked. 1973 as well, Scotsman Jackie Stewart won his 3rd Formula One World Drivers' Championship despite withdrawing from the season-ending U.S. Grand Prix at Watkins Glen. Won title by 16 points from Emerson Fittipaldi. Good old Jackie Stewart. 1974, German Democratic Republic amended the Constitution. We're going to talk about another constitution again, like the Soviet Fourth Constitution or something here in a little bit. 1975, Players Association filed a suit on behalf of Dodgers Andy Messersmith. So now you can file suits on behalf of other people. That's because that makes sense. Yeah, we also have the U.S. decided John Lennon will not be deported due to UK pot conviction. Huh. I thought we convicted him of having that as a way to get rid of him. In 1976, Hua Guofeng succeeded Mao as chairman of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China. Yep. So he was the Stalin to Mao Zedong being Lenin, because Lenin started the Soviet Union, Mao started the CCP. So I know that's a very bad comparison, but like I'm just like at least chronologically that's what I'm doing. 1977, guitarist Steve Hackett quit progressive rock band Genesis. Okay. And the USSR adopted the fourth Soviet Constitution. I just said that about 30 seconds ago. So yeah, the fourth Constitution. There we go. 1979, Ferrari driver Jody Scheckter retired with tire trouble in U.S. Grand Prix at Watkins Glen, became the first South African to claim Formula One World Drivers' Championship, won by 4 points from race winner Gilles Villeneuve. Okay. 1979 as well, Frank Malovich formally retired from the NHL after a failed comeback attempt with the Detroit Red Wings. 1981, in the first Eastern Division Championship, Yanks defeated the Brewers 5-3. And 1982, the musical Cats. Do you feel jellicle yet? Opened at Winter Garden Theater on Broadway, New York City, ran for nearly 18 years before closing September 10th, 2000, winning 7 Tony and 1 Grammy awards. Wow. 18 years. Like, it doesn't even, like, how many, like, I'm not even going to look it up because there's going to be some, like, hundreds of thousands of performances of that, of that show. That's unfortunate, close in 2000, because I really did want to see it on stage. I know it's on stage, but, like, it's not the, the same stretch, I wanted to participate in that. 1985, KHQ AM in Spokane, Washington's final transmission. Spokane, like, I knew someone who lived there one time. 1985 as well, Lynette Woodward was chosen as the first woman in Harlem Globetrotters. Huh. I did not realize that they had women in the Harlem Globetrotters, but cool. And the PLO terrorists seize Italian cruise liner Achille Lauro. Moving on up to 1986, first edition of the new British newspaper Independent was published. And Steve Yzerman was named captain of the Detroit Red Wings, a title he would hold on for over 1,300 games. Oh, wow. So we have 2 Red Wings articles today. That's interesting. 1988, Latvian flag raised in Riga for first time since annexation by the Soviet Union. And 1989, Oakland A's Ricky Henderson stole a record 8 bases in a playoff series, 5 games against Toronto Blue Jays. So that's more than 1 a game, 1990, Israel began handing out gas masks to its citizens. What are they saying about that? Speaking of Israel, they're in a war again. Like, they declared war earlier today, so here we go. Just in time, for to cover up all the Ukraine stuff. Now we're just going to start pumping money into Israel because Ukrainian soldiers are surrendering by the thousands. Go look it up. Don't listen to my words like they're gospel. Do your research yourself. Just use me as a springboard to expand your own intellectual repertoire. 1991, law professor Anita Hill accused Supreme Court nominee Clarence Thomas of making sexually inappropriate comments to her. That's a lie. And child star Adam Rick, 8 is enough, was arrested for stealing hypodermics. Hypodermics? What's a hypodermic? Hypodermic needles? Hypodermics. A syringe, yeah. Okay, so he was stealing needles. Okay, that's not cool. 1992, Tampa Bay Lightning became the first NHL expansion team to win opener 7-2. Cool. And we also have a massive Muslim demonstration in Xining, China. 12 people were killed in 1993. Then 3 years later, 1996, Rupert Murdoch launched Fox News with Roger Ailes as CEO. Rupert Murdoch, also owns Sky News Australia and a whole bunch of other things. A lot of right-wing conservative, or so it would appear, news sources owned and controlled by a radical leftist. But what better way to control people who oppose you than to control the information that they get? So, everything's a gaslight. 1998, Matthew Shepard, a gay student at the University of Wyoming, was found tied to a fence after being savagely beaten by 2 young adults in Laramie, Wyoming. Back in the day, gays actually did have problems. There was actual serious issues against these people, and it was absolutely disgusting. And my dad has a story about what do you call them, 2 old cotton tops, I guess. It's white hair, I'm not sure, but you have modern day, and it's just I don't need to go down that rabbit hole. You get it. Back in the day, they actually had something to complain about, but today, not really so much. 2000, Last ever competitive soccer match at Wembley Stadium, England defeated 1-0 by Germany. Last goal scored by Liverpool's Dieter Hamann. Match was Tony Adams' 60th at Wembley. The record for most appearances at the stadium. Okay, well, the last goal, wouldn't that be the only goal? Like, I don't know. Wembley is tennis, I believe. Or is that Wimbledon? What is Wembley? Last goal scored... That's not soccer. It just says right there, soccer. I'm stupid. 2001, crude oil resumed flowing through the transatlantic pipeline after workers welded shut a bullet hole that caused 260,000 gallons of oil to spill out. U.S. gallons are measurements. The imperial system that the Imperials, the Brits, invented and they no longer use. And, hey, this was your plan, 2001 as well, U.S. invasion of Afghanistan started with an air assault and covert operations on the ground. Yep, Operation Enduring Freedom. I was in high school. 2003, California held a Goober national recall election. Governor Gray Davis lost, and actor Arnold Schwarzenegger became governor. It's Judgment Day for the Gray Davis. The governor came up, but too bad the governor is the son of a literal SS Nazi. 2006, Novaya Gazeta Russian journalist Anna Politkovskaya was shot and killed outside her apartment in Moscow. That's not nice. 2008, music, podcast, and video streaming Spotify was launched by Daniel Elk and Martin Lorenzen. Spotify, happy birthday. 2009, a digital version of psychiatrist Carl Gustav Jung's Red Book was published 48 years after his death and contains personal notes on his subconscious during the period in which he developed his principal theories. Interesting. That's an intriguing read. You think about Red Book, though, like, oh, Mao Zedong is a little Red Book, which I've seen one, actually, in person. Went to the Nixon Library Museum birthplace a couple months ago, and they have one of them there in the little Chinese section. 2010, Peruvian author Mario Vargas Llosa was awarded a Nobel Prize in Literature for his cartography of structures of power and his transient images of the individual's resistance, revolt, and defeat. But that's literature, so that's interesting. 2012, ICC Men's Cricket T20 World Cup in Colombo. West Indies defeated Sri Lanka by 36 runs for first title. Player of the series, Australian all-rounder Shane Watson, 249 runs with 11 wickets. Cricket wicket! 2012, New Orleans quarterback Drew Brees broke Johnny Unitas' NFL record for consecutive games with a touchdown pass at 48 when he connected with Devery Henderson in Saints' 31-24 win over San Diego at the Superdome. No. 2012 as well, Sebastian Loeb won the World Rally Championship for the 9th consecutive year. All right, that's impressive. 2014, Spanish nurse diagnosed with Ebola, the first case outside West Africa. It's spreading. 2015, U.S. President Barack Obama apologized to the Doctors Without Borders president and the president of Afghanistan for the bombing of a hospital in Kunduz. Yeah, they bombed a Doctors Without Borders hospital. Like, no reason given. Like, just, oh, hey, cool, a bunch of innocent people bombed them. That's what Obama loves doing. He bombed a wedding once. Straight up civilians. 2017, rapper Nelly was arrested for a struggle snuggle in Auburn, Washington. That's what happened to him, Nelly. Huh. 2018, China confirmed it has detained Interpol chief Meng Hongwei, who resigned from his position after being reported missing. That's terrifying. What happened to him? Is he dead now? What's going on? 2018 as well, Jodie Whittaker debuted in her first full episode as the 13th and first female Doctor Who on BBC television. And the entire series went to shit since then. So, we also have a limousine crash killed 20 people, including 2 pedestrians in scholarly New York. And Romanian referendum to ban same-sex marriage failed with only 20.4% people voting. Dang. 2020, last but not least, Hurricane Delta made landfall on Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. With 100-mile-per-hour winds, the 25th named storm for 2020. That's a lot of named storms for just 1 year, I think. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not a meteorologist, dude. Anyway, that shall conclude the show. Once again, please check the underbar description for any links you may find interesting, including but not limited to all things Omni Coalition. It has links to our various video sharing streaming sites, social networking, affiliates, That's the word I couldn't think of yesterday. Yeah, and all of these links here that we've collected are just these 2 links here that we collected today. Anyway, for your dose of Task Events Daily, we stream every Tuesday through Friday at 11 in the morning Pacific Time, which is 12 Mountain, 1 Central, and 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, respectively. For all of you and all of us, I am Xander, and you, viewer, are you. Until you catch us tomorrow, don't forget to look right and left at every intersection, rate 5 thumbs, and subscribe. Toodles!